Hello everyone. Here we are for the second video in the series discussing the thought of Italian philosopher and traditionalist, Julius Evola. If you like this video and want more of this type of content, please help this channel by subscribing, liking the videos, commenting your impressions and clicking the notification bell. Stay strong and upright. May the light be with you. Evola's great influence, the thinker who introduced him to tradition, was René Guénon, the metaphysician and scholar of Hindu philosophical doctrines, discoverer of the category of tradition. The doctrinal plan related to the transcendent unity of traditions in Guénon is also found in its immanent form, i.e. in the world, in what he calls primordial traditions. According to Guénon, once in a vague area of prehistory, understood not in the academic sense of the word, of the first primates, but in the sense of a time frame that is placed before possible known history, having more of a mythological than historical nature, there has been a single tradition on earth. Originated and transmitted through intellectual elites, in the plane of human affairs this primordial tradition was the most direct manifestation of the transcendent tradition, from which the characters and forms of traditional civilizations were derived. All that is regarded as tradition and that relates back to the values of tradition is thought to be a degraded remnant of the primordial tradition. The values and principles of tradition are understood neither by Evola nor by Guénon as norms of behavior born in the past. Tradition is a metaphysical reality, standing above time, a totality of transcendent and eternal principles, immutable values, established in being. This tradition forms an organic whole systematized hierarchically to form a higher metaphysical principle. The principles of tradition are placed in relations of organic differentiation of the orders of their being, based on and in accordance with the given qualities they possess, being placed in a spiritual relation with the Absolute. Therefore tradition has as its central values authority, hierarchy, order, discipline and obedience. The principles from above of tradition, for Evola, should not be understood as realities that were, but as ideas that should determine and inform reality in accordance with their superior force, empower and value life, in the sense of a spiritual fulfillment established from above. Evola establishes the principles of tradition, or the traditional spirit as forms of manifestation of the life of traditional man. The principles of tradition are a category understood as normative principles a priori to emphasize their nature as a force and formative idea, but also to express their independence and self-sufficiency against any contingent manifestation of the principles themselves. Tradition means transmission and comes from the Latin tradire. For Guénon this means the transmission of divine and superhuman knowledge and principles. Transmission mainly occurs orally in its first and most refined forms, the latter depending on the worldview, but he points out that it may also have occurred in written forms, because transmission means passing on something and not its form. If we stick to the oral transmission, then we can raise a reflection on the oath to then understand the relationships of the transmission with the transmitters and the attainment of the knowledge of transcendental principles. Evola mentions the oath in relation to the modern state and the absurdity of swearing under the conditions of a secularized state. Sacramentum fidelitatis, i.e. the oath of loyalty, known in the age of feudalism, is for Evola an undertaking that transcends any category of the profane and the secular. The oath, in the context of this evaluation, can be moved to the human context. The oath taken by one, if it is understood only and simply in this plane of actualization, then it is only half understood. The oath implies the binding of an unwritten norm, an a priori norm that informs the behavior of the oath giver in relation to the potential fulfillment of the content established on the norm. Potential fulfillment immediately at the threshold of actualization after the oath is taken. With what we said, we understand only the objective, external part of the oath. I think that there should also be an internal plan, immanent in the man who is bound by the oath, but transcendent in relation to the external conditions of the actualization of the oath. Commitment must be understood as the immanent inner part and realized in the person. The pledge precedes the oath. The oath is the external manifestation of the commitment. If the pledge is not realized as such in the person, then the oath in the Evolian sense, i.e. in the strong sense, cannot happen. A pledge is always a relation with oneself, and only this self-relation, which may or may not end in a commitment, leads to an oath. Commitment should be understood as that relation with oneself that establishes internal order in the person by disciplining the lower forces within him, which are the passionate forces, fears, insecurities, deviant emotions, and the temptation to break the oath. The mastery of the higher realms of soul and mind within oneself is the first necessary condition and foundation of every true oath. The oath is given by him, or her, who pledges, who swears, and he who is the master of himself swears. The oath is an activity transcendent to the empirical facts. The person who swears must always be master of himself regardless of the circumstances and conditions under which the oath may be required. Keep in mind that this reflection and clarification will then serve us to understand the relationships with the metaphysical category of tradition and the political thought of Evola in its strongest figures in the next videos. And with this said, I want to thank you and say that it is a pleasure sharing with you these thoughts and contents. Once again, please, like, subscribe and follow Apollo's Arrow on Twitter. May the light be with you.